Help support AMTV by becoming a patron, an AMTV staff member, and following us over on Twitter.
Hi there guys, it's Adam Martin here, and welcome back after long last to another instalment of the Now Review. You had Now Dance 85, the first release, you had Now Dance 86, you had Now Dance 89 for some reason after taking a 2-year break, but in 1990 they followed up with not one, not two, but 3 Now Dance albums throughout the entire year, so 1990 must have been a pretty good year for dance according to Now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through each of these individually, then we'll do like a summary, see which ones I recommend, what I don't recommend, etc. So let's get into it with the first release, Now Dance 901. So here it is, Now Dance 901, that's what I'm going to refer it to as anyway. So you've got the all familiar Now logo, which I think was still being used at this point. The last to use that was Now 17, which was released in 1990, in all fairness. So you've got the red, blue and green, you've got a funky dance looking logo, 901. 20 Smash Dance hits, the 12-inch mixes. So, who has this got featuring? You have got Technotronic, FPI Project, D-Mob, Mantronics, Soul to Soul, the 49ers, De La Soul, Inner City, and many more. So some very recognisable names there, and some names that also appeared on Now 17 off the top of my head. In terms of the cover, I don't like the fact that most of the background is like this pale yellow. I don't know, it just seems a bit bland. I mean, yes, it does help the title, but the whole front cover sort of looks like a, like a school drawing. It's sort of like a young child drew it up, which, works, but you'd recognise it, but I don't know, just a bit bland. But anyway, we're going to flip this on over. We'll put that there, and now we're going to look at the all-important track list. So 20 tracks, 5 tracks to a side. So on record 1, side 1, you have Get Up, Before the Night is Over, Technotronic feat. Your Kid K, that's a great song. Going Back to My Roots, FPI Project feat. Sharon D. Clark. Put Your Hands Together, D-Mob featuring Enough Juice. Got to Have Your Love, Mantronics feat. Wondrous. I thought it was going to be their cover of... Oh no, it was Jamtronics who did Another Day in Paradise. Dub Be Good to Me by Beats International feat. Lindy. One of the biggest hits of 1990 and still a big hit today that gets played. Cracking song. Record 1, side 2, Get a Life by Soul to Soul, Touch Me by the 49ers, You Make Me Feel Mighty Real by Jimmy Somerville. I personally prefer the Read My Lips song he did off that album, but whatever. In Private by Dusty Springfield, great song. I didn't realise that was on here. I've owned this for a few years. In Private, that was off her album Reputation, produced by the Pet Shop Boys. Sit and Wait by Sydney Youngblood, so that's record 1. In Private on Now Dance, fancy that, eh? Dusty Springfield on a Now Dance album. Record 2, side 1, you got The Magic Number by De La Soul, Welcome by Gino Latino, I Called You by Lil Louis and the World. From what I remember, that's a very strange song. Destiny by Elektra, and Love on Love by the Easy Posse feat. Dr. Mouthquake. Again, I really don't understand why they didn't put Everything Starts with an E on this one, because that was, well, a big song from Easy Posse, a great song actually. Record 2, side 2, What You Gonna Do With My Lovin' by Inner City, Was That All It Was by Kim Mazel, Inner City Mama by Nina Cherry, who was one of the emerging artists around that time, Encore by Tongue in Cheek, and Higher Than Heaven by Ace of Chance. So there you go, there are your 20 tracks. Quite an eclectic mix really, but a lot of good songs on here, definitely. I mean, Dub Be Good to Me, In Private, Get Up Before the Night is Over. There's some great dance tracks, but thankfully this is a gatefold release. So let's open her up. There we go. So I'm just going to briefly skim through all of these. As usual, for anyone who doesn't know, the Now albums always took pride in being able to show off the artists that they had in these things and also a bit about each song, so you'd have the information there. I know you won't be able to read it, but just think back in 1990, you didn't have internet, you didn't have many means to access this unless you own the actual album, so here you get to learn a bit about the artist, a bit about the single itself. Scanning. And just going back to record 1, side 2, I love how the picture they use, see there, that's the Pet Shop Boys with what looks like a very photoshopped image of Dusty Springfield in. Surely they must have been able to get an image of the three of them, maybe not from the time, but who knows. So that is your inside. I like the fact each number is a different colour. You got the red, orangey, yellow, red and green. I don't know, it's just a nice touch. But the pale yellow background, I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me. But enough about pale yellow backgrounds. Now I'm going to quickly show you what one of the discs looks like. So here is what one of your discs looks like. Just a yellow thing there. Is it different colour? Yes, so green, so I imagine the other is sort of maybe red and blue. This one's a little scuffed, a little dusty, but it still plays like an absolute dream. So remember, always check the condition of your vinyl before you buy. Quick thing to note as well, the catalogue number for this is NOD4, or Now Dance 4, as this was the 4th release, confirming that. So, Now Dance 901. I mean, yeah, to kick off 1990, this is a great album. There's a lot of great dance songs on here, and I think a few dance songs that maybe weren't as mainstream in the main chart, so you actually get a little bit more if you want to expand your horizons, I suppose, is one way to put it. But yeah, I have actually really enjoyed listening to this album. I think it's a really great album indeed. So without further ado, we shall now move on to the next release from 1990. And that release, of course, is Now Dance 902, released later on in 1990. I'm guessing more around the summertime, because you've got the Sunflowers. Now this cover's actually really, like, I think of the era and very trippy. Look at all the 902s in the background, that's quite cool. You've still got the 3-colour logo, so the red, blue and green there. The font's very basic, but I guess in 1990 they didn't have many options. Although the font down here of the featured artist is the same font they've been using on the mainline now for ages now. You've still got the 12-inch mixes subtitles, so that was still very much in use. So what featured artists do we have on here? So you've got The Adventures of Stevie V, Adamski, Soul to Soul again, Maxi Priest, Yaz, Betty Boo, Bobby Brown, Chad Jackson, and many more. So I think from the returning one there, Soul to Soul, you can see how some artists really made their name in the dance scene around this time at the beginning of the 1990s. So let's flip it on round and have a look at the track list. I like how each thing here has different colours for record one, whatever. I don't know. Nice touch. I like the different colours. So, Dirty Cash by The Adventures of Stevie V. Here, The Drummer, Get Wicked by Chad Jackson. Freestyle Megamix by Bobby Brown, which I think is basically a mix of all his hits from the Don't Be Cruel album, I think. You Can't Touch This by MC Hammer, one of the biggest songs of the 1990, not just dance, just in general. I'm surprised that wasn't track one. Won't Talk About It by Beats International, so record 1 side 2. Yeah, First Time Ever, Joanna Law. A Dream's a Dream by Soul to Soul. Love Don't Live Here Anymore by Double Trouble. Thinking of You by Maureen Walsh, and Close to You by Maxi Priest. So we're going to head on over now to record 2, side 1. So you've got World in Motion by England New Order. For anyone who doesn't know, that was sort of the official England theme song for the Italia 90 World Cup for football. I think it reached number 1 in the charts. We didn't reach number 1 in the World Cup. The less said about that, the better. Doing the Do by Betty Boo, Venus by Don Pablo's Animals, Wild Woman Do by Natalie Cole, and Take Your Time by Mantronics. Oh, they're back again. Feet Wondrous once again. So record 2, side 2. You've got NRG by Adamski. I'm surprised it's not the song Killer with Seal. Treat Me Good by Yaz, The Master Plan, Diana Brown and Barry K. Sharp, Joy and Heartbreak, Movement 98, feat Carol Thompson, and Snappiness by BBG. So I know for me personally, there's a lot less that I recognise initially on that track list, although some of you might be like, oh, how come you don't know this and that? You know, depending on your knowledge of dance and that era of 1990, you might know more than other people. And just before we open this up, the catalogue number you will see is NOD5, confirming that this is the 5th release in Now Dance. I still find it so odd. They never released an album for 1987 or 88, but they did 3 for 1990. Maybe they were making up for lost time, who knows. But let's open this up anyway. Let's see what we've got in here. So, as you can see, it's pretty similar to Now Dance 901. You've just got the artist there and a bit of information about them. And I honestly can't stress how important this would have been to buyers back in the day, when the only way otherwise, I guess, you would have found out about artists is if you read them in magazines, you picked up the booklets of their albums, or just saw them on TV. So something like this was a real, help to people who wanted to learn more about artists. So yeah, like the Sunflowers, I love the navy blue background. I might be a bit biased as navy blue is a favourite colour of mine, but still, this I think looks way more appealing than Now Dance 901 did. And with that said, let's get out one of the discs. So here you go, here's a disc for Now Dance 902. Again, this one's got a few scuffs, few hairlines on it, but from when I've played it, it plays really, really well, so I'm not worried at all. You can, of course, buy vinyl cleaning kits, should you wish to do that, but make sure you buy them from a professional and it's not just any old substance you're using. But yeah, those are the discs. So that's Now Dance 902, and I'll be honest, I think without listening to this again and seeing if I have a different opinion, tracklist-wise, I think I still am more of a fan of Now Dance 901. I think that had a better selection, but some of you guys might prefer Now Dance 902. But let's not forget we have one more release to look at today. This is going to be a bumper video for sure, so let's now move on to the third and final release from 1990. So here it is, the final release of the year, Now Dance 903, or 90 and 3. I don't know why they number them like this. Why couldn't they just call it Now Dance 90 Volume 3? It's just, I don't know, I'm being cynical now. This cover is whack. I definitely prefer the Now Dance 902 cover. Like, yes, if you look in the background, you've got like the purple and the squiggly lines, which are oh so 90s, but you've still technically got the 3-color logo, though it's less, familiar. It's not in the 3 circles, so maybe Now 18 had come out by this point and changed it all. I just don't like it. It's too big, it's too cluttered, and I just don't... it's not appealing to my eyes anyway. So who have we got featuring on this one in this strong font down here? Technotronic's back, and is Betty Boo, Bassomatic, Money Love, Nina Cherry, Blue Pearl, Loose Ends, Innocence, plus many more. Again, so some some returning names this year, so it really shows you who was popping off in 1990. It's still the 12-inch mixes at the very top there, if you can see. This was released on, well, I'll talk more about that at the end, I guess, with all the others. So, first thing, before we go into the track list, as you can see up there, NOD6, the 6th release. Now, this is much nicer because the background, I don't know, the background's quite nice. It's that very 90s style, but I wish we could see more of it on the front. That is a much nicer logo. That's much more concise, I think. I like how the O's are record as well. Record 1, side 1. So you've got a mega mix by Technotronic, nice way to start. Where Are You Baby by Betty Boo. I Can't Stand It by 24/7. That Man, He's All Mine by Inner City. She Ain't Worth It by Glenn Medeiros. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Record 1, side 2 is Fascinating Rhythm by Bassomatic. What Time Is Love, the KLF feat The Children of the Revolution. That's a great song. Body Language, The Adventures of Stevie V. It's a Shame, My Sister by Money Love feat True Image. And I've Got You Under My Skin by Nina Cherry. Great version of that by her. Record 2, side 1, Naked in the Rain by Blue Pearl. LFO by LFO. Mother Universe by The Soup Dragons. Gravy Train by The Farm. You're Walking by Elect Tribe 101. Record 2, side 2, you've got Don't Be a Fool by Loose Ends. Let's Push It by Innocence. Get Yourself Together by The Young Disciples. Burundi Blues by Beats International. And Hardcore Uproar by Together. So, again, thinking about that, so say Beats International, they've appeared at least once on each of these 3 albums from 1990. So I guess that helps show how powerful they were in the scene at the time. Same with Nina Cherry, I think she was on 2 out of 3 of these. Just, you've noticed some names come up constantly, but, that's what you get when you release 3 albums about dance in 1 year. I get it for the numbered series, looking at the pop charts, but did we need 3 dance albums in 1 year? It's debatable. But nevertheless, let us continue with looking inside this gatefold here, what we're going to get in this one. So pop that there. Alright, see, I'd love that background. Why can't we see more of it on the front? That's what I want to know. It's the same sort of thing, really, information about each artist on the inside here. Very useful stuff, especially if you wanted to, I don't know, pick some of this up in the shops or from your local vinyl dealer or cassette dealer, CD dealer. But before we talk about the formats of these, let's have one final look at one of these discs. Okay, so here is a disc for Now Dance 903. Got a yellow background, very simple, and it's yellow there, so they're not even changing the colours anymore. Again, a few scuffs, but plays brilliantly. That's the disc. So that's Now Dance 903, and I must admit, I recognise even less on here than the first 2, but again, that's just down to your personal preference, your taste in dance music, your knowledge of the era. There's so many factors that come into it, but what I'll do now, let's get the other 2 back in the frame, and I'll talk about whether it's all worth it. So in conclusion, what is there to say about these 3 albums? Well, you could argue it gives you a pretty conclusive view of dance music, or at least more mainstream dance music, in the year 1990. I'm not sure whether music historians would cite 1990 as the best year for dance music ever, but I guess now certainly thought there was merit to it, or maybe the dance scene was just popping off at the time. You've got to remember, end of the 80s, start of the 90s, you had all sorts of things happening. Acid house was in full swing, house music in general was coming in and becoming really popular, so in a way, if you think about it, maybe it made sense for them to release 3 volumes. But are they all worth it? Well, obviously getting the standard thing out the way, if you don't like 90s music, or specifically 90s dance music, then there is no point to you picking up these albums. You will not enjoy them. However, if you enjoy 90s music, if you grew up with it, and if you enjoy the dance scene, I would recommend all 3 of these albums, not just because each of them has a song that is instantly recognizable, but because there are tracks on there that you either is probably buried deep within your brain, or stuff you've never heard of. And it's all exciting to hear that for the first time. And these, at the minute anyway, are reasonably cheap. I've owned these for a few years now. I believe I got each of these off eBay for between £5 and £10 each. I can't remember the specific prices of each one, and if you check out my video from years ago on the Now Dance series on vinyl, then I might have elaborated on it there. But they're relatively cheap to collect these releases from 1990. However, if vinyl isn't your thing, you can also get all 3 of these on a double cassette tape release, or even a CD release, whatever floats your boat. I personally prefer to collect things on vinyl, hence why I have the 3 of them here. But yeah, if you like dance music, especially 1990 dance music, all 3 of these get a high recommendation from me. But that is all for this installment of the Now Review. Thank you very much for watching, especially since this was a bumper episode. I didn't think it was going to go on for this long, but I hope you enjoyed it. I wanted to cover all these in one video. So next time on the Now Review, on the dance series anyway, we'll be looking at Now Dance 91, which currently is one of the last Now Dance releases I own on vinyl. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And until the next one, I will see you guys next time.
Thank you to our patrons for helping to support the show, and a special thank you to Macra, Hooks Media, Ben Freeman, Ethan Carberry-Holt, Bruce Danton, The Broken Kitsumanoid, and Francine Salazar, our AMTV staff members.